The cameras flash, the crowd freezes, and just like that, Hollywood has a brand new obsession.
Oh, absolutely. It is everywhere right
I
now.
mean, if you want to protect a $57 billion empire, the absolute smartest thing you can do when your 27-year marriage completely falls apart is absolutely nothing.
Which is wild to think about, right?
Right. Today, we are looking at a multi-billion-dollar real estate machine that's suddenly caught in the crosshairs of a very public, like intensely scrutinized separation.
Yeah, we are diving into the foundational headline that is plastered across every feed. How much Kyle Richards is actually walking away with after Mauricio split.
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
The financial mechanics of this particular story are just staggering. I mean, they challenge, a lot of the assumptions people make about celebrity breakup.
Oh, completely. And for you listening right now, the mission of this deep dive is to really get past the tabloid headlines.
Yeah, we have to look at the actual facts.
Exactly. We are unpacking a massive stack of sources. So legal analyses, California family law statutes, and of course, up-to-the-minute reality TV updates.
Because you need all of that to figure out exactly what happens when a 27-year marriage dissolves with literally $57 billion in real estate sales on the line.
It is so much money. So, okay, let's unpack this because looking at this high-profile split, it just does not feel like your standard Hollywood divorce.
No, not at all.
It feels more like watching a massive corporate merger dissolving in slow motion. The sheer scale of the money and the PR maneuvering make this entirely unprecedented.
We are effectively watching the potential unspooling of a corporate behemoth.
Right.
And what makes this case a landmark study in family law is the foundation it was all built on. Or, well, rather, the complete lack of a legal foundation.
Yeah, the prenup.
Exactly. We have a 27-year marriage, a business that has moved $57 billion in real estate, and absolutely zero prenuptial agreement.
Zero, which is usually unthinkable in Hollywood.
Totally unthinkable.
But when you look at their beginnings, I mean, there was no empire to protect back in 1996. Kyle herself is quoted in the sources saying that when they married, Mauricio literally had 2 nickels.
Right. They were living in a modest 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah. And the turning point in their financial timeline is really critical to understanding the current legal battle.
It really is. The sources detail this pivotal moment right before Christmas, early in their marriage. Mauricio was working in the clothing business and was suddenly fired.
Oh, wow. Right before Christmas?
Yeah. Kyle described him coming home just totally crushed, to the point where they couldn't even afford Christmas presents for their kids.
That is heartbreaking. But that is where Kyle intervenes and basically alters the entire trajectory of their lives.
Yeah, she steps in.
She tells him they're going to hire a babysitter once a week, and they're both going to Santa Monica College to get their real estate licenses together.
And that hustle, that exact moment, eventually leads to the launch of the agency in 2011.
Right. Fast forward to today, and the agency has sold $57 billion in real estate.
With a B.
With a P. And that brings us to the upcoming Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 15 reunion. Andy Cohen asks Kyle point blank if she will be asking for half of the agency.
Oh, and her response is iconic.
She does not miss a beat. She bluntly says, well, it's mine, half of it's mine.
And then Kathy Hilton, Kyle's sister, reacted on camera by asking if Mauricio even realizes this.
That moment is so funny.
I know, right? It perfectly captures the public's intense curiosity about the financial realities of this split.
Okay, wait, I need to stop you there and push back on Kyle's claim for a second.
Sure, go for it.
I understand the sweat equity argument. It's like an angel investor in a tech startup who couldn't put in cash, so they contributed like marketing exposure instead.
Right, the PR value.
Yeah, she pushed him to get the license, and she continuously promoted this business on international television for over a decade. But Mauricio is the broker. His name is on the license.
Yep, that's true.
So how can she legally claim half of a brokerage she doesn't actually work for just because she pushed him to go to school 20 years ago?
Well, the law does not care whose name is on the CEO's office door.
Really?
Really? Nor does it care about who had the original idea. Under California community property law, specifically California Family Code, Section 760, the presumption is entirely timeline-based.
Okay, so it's all about when it happened.
Exactly. The law in a no-fault state like California presumes that all property acquired by a married person during the marriage, while domiciled in the state, is automatically community property.
Wait, so the sweat equity and the TV promotion are just like good PR narratives?
They are powerful narrative points for the public, sure, but the baseline legal fact is simply that the agency was born in 2011, right in the middle of the marriage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that legally categorizes the entire business as community property. Now, the mechanics of dividing a company like that are incredibly
I
complex.
can imagine.
We hear $57 billion, but that is their total sales volume. The brokerage itself, its revenue, its brand value, its proprietary tech is likely valued in the hundreds of millions.
So how do you even split that?
Dividing that corporate asset usually forces one of two scenarios. Either Mauricio has to secure massive private funding to buy Kyle out of her 50% equity in cash.
Which would be a fortune.
Exactly. Or Kyle remains a major shareholder with voting rights in a company run by her ex-husband.
Yeah, neither of those options sounds clean or easy at all.
No, they sound like a nightmare.
And that might actually explain the wildest part of this entire situation. You might assume with hundreds of millions of dollars in corporate valuation on the line, the lawyers are already, fighting it out in court.
You would think so.
But they haven't actually filed a single paper yet. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
Yeah, the delay is fascinating. It's a masterclass in high-wealth asset preservation.
Because they announced their separation in October of 2023, this has been 2.5 years, and yet they are still completely legally married.
Legally bound to each other.
And their living arrangement is just bizarre. The sources say Mauricio bought an $8.6 million luxury condo in West Hollywood.
Oh, sharing a building with Matt Damon, right?
Yeah, exactly. But they still share the primary Beverly Hills home when Kyle is in town.
Well, a major stated driver for that shared arrangement is their 16-year-old daughter, Portia.
Right, the co-parenting aspect.
Yeah, they are actively co-parenting and currently looking at out-of-state colleges together. They are maintaining a highly visible family unit, even taking a high-profile family trip to Aspen for New Year's.
Which naturally sparked an absolute frenzy of reconciliation rumors.
Of course it did.
Rumors that Kyle firmly denied on Watch What Happens Live. She said it was completely made up. So what does this all mean? Why stay in this legal limbo?
It's a strategic move.
To me, it's like trying to untangle a massive parachute while you're still falling. If you pull the cord and file the divorce papers too soon, the parachute rips and you lose millions.
That's a great way to put it.
But aren't they just making the financial untangling infinitely worse by waiting 2.5 years?
They are actually doing the exact opposite.
Really? How so?
For ultra-wealthy couples, staying legally married while publicly separated isn't about laziness or fear of the courts. It is a highly sophisticated, calculated strategy.
Okay.
Under California Family Code Section 1100, there is what's known as a fiduciary duty clock. Because they haven't formally divided their assets, both Kyle and Mauricio still have a strict legal obligation to preserve the community wealth.
Meaning they have to actively protect the assets for each other?
Yes, and more importantly, by not filing, they avoid establishing a firm date of separation with the court.
Oh, I see.
The moment you file, the court draws a hard line in the sand. Every dollar earned after that date is separate property. But drawing that line also forces an immediate, formal valuation of the agency.
Wait, meaning the public would see the numbers?
Exactly. If they file a public motion, the agency's internal books, its profit margins, its vulnerabilities, all of it becomes public record. Rival brokerages could use that data against them.
Wow. So by not filing, they're keeping the company's financial health a complete secret from their competitors.
Precisely. The delay keeps everything safely tucked in a legal gray zone.
That is so smart.
Every dollar Kyle makes from her Bravo contracts and every commission Mauricio makes from a massive housing sale technically still belongs to the community pot.
So they are functionally operating as a married financial unit while dating other people.
Right. They haven't filed because, as the sources note, it's too messy financially. They have to carefully untangle every string, negotiate the buyout terms, and structure the tax liabilities in private before they ever hit the ground and file the public paperwork.
Because every dollar is locked in this legal gray zone, Kyle cannot afford to let her public image slip.
Not even a little bit.
Right, because a PR disaster for her could materially damage the valuation of the very company she's trying to extract half her wealth from.
Exactly.
Which perfectly explains the sudden, drastic shift we are seeing in her behavior on season 15. Later in this deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming regarding Kyle's role on the show itself. Could she actually be pulling the strings behind the cameras?
You know, the reality television aspect of this, Adds a layer of complexity that typical high net worth divorces simply do not have.
For sure.
Corporate executives usually untangle their assets in quiet boardrooms, not on international television broadcasts.
Seriously. We are looking at secret producers, shattered friendships, and the quest for a completely new identity. The tension of this split is bleeding heavily into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season
It
15.
really is.
And it is drastically altering Kyle's long-standing friendships, especially her decades-long bond with Dorrit Kemsley.
The sources detail a very tense reunion dynamic surrounding that friendship. Kyle actually pulled out text receipts to prove she skipped Dorrit's book cover reveal event simply because she was exhausted.
Yeah, she was prepping for her daughter Alexia's wedding, right?
Exactly. She'd been up since 2 a.m.
But Dorrit completely flipped the script on camera, claiming Kyle essentially abandoned her after her traumatic home invasion.
The fallout is incredibly toxic.
It's so intense. And then you throw in this explosive claim from Brandy Lanville. Brandy is alleging that Kyle is acting as a secret producer on the show, wielding hidden influence over cast contracts and behind-the-scenes editing.
That accusation is fascinating when you view it through the lens of asset protection.
Totally.
While the reality TV drama reaches a fever pitch, Kyle is quietly but forcefully building a new empire off-camera. The sources highlight her intense focus on her sobriety journey.
Yeah, and she's leaving public supportive comments for rumored romance Morgan Wade.
Right. Plus, she just launched her own production company called House of 18, which already has shows in development, and she's even starting a hat line.
Okay, here is where the legal strategy and the TV show completely collide.
Go on.
If Brandy's claim is even partially true, and Kyle is wielding producer-level influence, she has been actively curating her own divorce narrative for the cameras.
Which is brilliant.
Right. Think about the stakes we just discussed. She has a brand linked to $57 billion in sales to protect. If she looks erratic, or if the show paints her as the villain in the marriage collapsing, does that damage the overarching value of the agency by proxy?
It absolutely threatens the brand equity. I mean, Kyle admitted in her interviews that for her entire adult life, her identity was entirely wrapped up in being a wife and mother.
That was her defining role.
Exactly. What we're analyzing now is an active, highly strategic pivot. She is utilizing this 2.5-year legal limbo period to completely redefine her identity.
She is making sure that when the dust settles, she isn't just Mauricio's ex-wife. She is establishing herself as Kyle Richards' independent mogul.
And from a crisis management perspective, controlling the narrative isn't just for vanity, it is a legal strategy.
Wait, how does that work legally?
She is showing the courts, the public, and the business world that her value extends far beyond the marital unit. By launching House of 18 and entering the production space, she is proving her standalone earning potential before the final divorce papers are ever signed. She is acting as her own crisis manager.
It is a masterclass in public relations and personal survival. She is securing her own parachute while simultaneously untangling the shared one. So tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next as we wrap up this story.
The mental and strategic discipline required to execute this while living under a microscope is truly an incredible balancing act.
Think about the pure friction of what Kyle is juggling every single day. She is managing the emotional fallout of a 27-year public separation. She is utilizing complex California family law to protect her rightful claim to a financial behemoth. She is navigating incredibly volatile reality TV dynamics with her oldest friends.
Exhausting just listening to it.
Right. And through it all, she is reinventing her entire identity from the ground up, ensuring her brand outlives her marriage.
It is a profound transition that highlights the unique modern dilemma of the reality television era.
Which leaves you with something really crucial to consider. When a reality star's entire life, their marriage, their business, the birth and raising of their children has been meticulously built and documented on camera for well over a decade, how do you ever truly separate the real from the estate?
That is the ultimate question.
Does living your entire life in the public eye make dividing hundreds of millions of dollars easier? Because every single contribution, every conversation, every tear is heavily documented as proof. Or does it make it infinitely harder? Because every single move, every text message, every public outing is instantly calculated as a PR strategy in a high-stakes legal chess match. It's something to think about as this saga continues to unfold.
Definitely.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.